the Million Man March, and Day Up and told me, you know, and I remember 20 years ago I was fighting to come to DC and be a part of that Million Man March. I remember the 10-year anniversary as well. One of the things I always admired about you, even to this day, one of the things from your past that a lot of people that's attached to Minister Louis Farrakhan's legacy is your relationship. And you spoke about him earlier with Brother Malcolm. And a lot of folks, I even asked folks today, what would you have me ask him if you had a chance to talk? And the majority of people ask about your relationship with the Brother Malcolm. And what's happened since. People don't really know what happened since his death and your relationship with his family. They didn't see the Mike Wallace interview. They didn't know about you meeting with Betty Shabazz. Can you clarify what's your...
Of course. Well, first, Brother Malcolm was my mentor. I've never met a more disciplined man. I was very fortunate to have him as my teacher. He was the greatest helper of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. I would have given my life to protect his life because of my deep love for Elijah Muhammad and his being his top student. Unfortunately, there would come a time when he would break ranks with the nation and break ranks with the Honorable Elijah Muhammad over an aspect of Mr. Muhammad's personal life. Before that happened, if you remember when John Kennedy was murdered, I don't know whether you know this, but Elijah Muhammad instructed all his ministers not to say anything about the assassination of President Kennedy. Brother Malcolm was speaking at the Manhattan Center, and he got through the lecture perfectly, but he had a question and answer period, and a man from the New York Times asked him a question concerning President Kennedy. And he made a statement that was true. It was a case of the chickens coming home to roost. However, he disobeyed the direction of the teacher. The next day, the newspapers said, Malcolm rejoices, in words, over the assassination of Kennedy. Now, we have many believers in prisons all over America under white Catholic gods. Persecution began because they loved Kennedy. Malcolm was exposing Kennedy, not telling lies, telling truth. But that violation of the instructions of his teacher caused the teacher to silence him. During that period of silence, I was invited to New York to speak on a particular Sunday as other ministers were coming in. And Malcolm came and met me and took me to his home on 2311 97th Street. And during the dinner, Betty brought the dinner in. Malcolm began to tell me about my teacher's personal life. And after he finished, he said, now, brother, I could get these sisters on the telephone and trick them and make them tell you that what I'm telling you is true. I said, no, brother, you don't have to do that. When he took me back to the airport, he said to me, brother, now I don't want you to tell anybody what I've told you. I said, no, I'm not going to tell anybody but the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And I saw his shoulder jump. I went back to Boston. I couldn't sleep. Because sometimes when you learn information that you didn't know, that has a tendency to shake your faith some, it keeps you up. I could not sleep that night, and 5 o'clock the next morning, as that's our time for prayer, Brother Malcolm called me. He said, Brother Lewis, I want you to delay the letter that you're going to write to give me a chance to write a letter to explain what I said and why. I said, brother, it's going to take me some time to get my head together to write such a letter. So if you can get your letter off in that time, fine. I do not want to be put in between two powerful men. He said, well, there's only one powerful man. I said, I'm aware of that, but I'm also aware that your relationship with me and mine with you and him would be troubled. Malcolm wrote his letter, and mine came after his letter, and he was summoned to Arizona to answer his teacher. Now, that was a very difficult period in the nation's life because most of you have girlfriends that you don't legitimize them as wives. I'm not talking to you personally, but most men have women on the side, but they don't accept the responsibility.
Hit the like button, subscribe, turn me up on them lights, y'all.
Married these
Merry Christmas
women.
to everybody.
They produced for him children. Now, what you don't know, and you're going to have to face it, women are outnumbering men today from 7 to 11 to 1. And women today lose as a commodity because there's more than the demand. The demand is on the man because he's less, she's more in terms of numbers. So women are played. But one day, we're going to have to think over what polygamy is. It's not the best solution, but when Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, went to war, many men lost their lives and left their wives and their children sometimes as orphans. So the Quran permitted the Muslim male to have up to 4 wives. Under that circumstance, Elijah Muhammad taught us against fornication and adultery. So naturally, if he is taking wives, all of us that follow him, that had girlfriends before we met him, it might trigger us to go back into fornication and adultery. I defended Elijah Muhammad. I did not defend Malcolm. I was angry with him because Elijah Muhammad took Brother Malcolm from prison. A brilliant man, potentially, but doing criminal things. And when Elijah Muhammad, when he became a follower of Elijah Muhammad and came out of prison, I know the NAACP wouldn't use him, nor would the Urban League, because Malcolm only had an 8th grade education. But after Elijah Muhammad taught him, that man became a giant. So it would seem to me that regardless to what you felt about your teacher, why would you try to destroy a movement that gave you life because your teacher disciplined you? And that's where we fell out.
Yeah. But those actions question his faith, all right?
Yes.
Okay.
And naturally, then, when your faith is shaken, you do what you think you should do. But most of the people don't know that Malcolm tried to get back into the nation before he was assassinated.
Right.
So why would he come back? If your faith was broken, why would you come back? It's because he realized the nation made Malcolm, and Malcolm helped to make the nation. And 1 year, 2 years outside of the nation, he was wandering, not quite sure where he wanted to go. He was a black nationalist, and then he became an Orthodox Muslim. We fell out. And I can't take that back. Because he taught me how to defend my teacher. And I went to him and showed him what I knew and found in the Quran about the domestic life of my teacher. And Malcolm said to me, I already know that, brother. You can't handle that. I'll handle that. Fine. But he mishandled it. And he made the teacher to look bad when he could have defended the teacher just by using the knowledge of the Quran. So, unfortunately, it led to a back and forth. Like a husband and wife break apart, the children are watching a drama. And sometimes the drama gets so tense that one parent will attack another parent to get the children on their side and vice versa. That's the decision that I had to make over a man that inspired my Islamic life and the teacher of my Islamic life. I could not follow Brother Malcolm. I had to follow the teacher who taught us both. Time and circumstances now brought my brother to an assassination. There's a hell of a climate. You can't leave the FBI out of this. You can't leave the U.S. government out of this. They plotted to divide Malcolm from his teacher and create the circumstances that led to his assassination. And in the Freedom of Information Act, you can find all of this that the government was involved in. Malcolm went to Egypt and was poisoned in Egypt. We were not there. when he went to France. And France wouldn't let him in. He took the money of de Gaulle that had de Gaulle's picture on it and threw it on the ground. He knew that de Gaulle did not want him assassinated on French soil. We're not over there. It's bigger than the Nation of Islam. We had differences, yes. And some from the nation were charged with killing him and did 26 years to life, and they were innocent. The one that was guilty did the time, and then he came out and he named all those who were involved in that action with himself. These are records that you can get there in the court with Consular and others. Now I want to say this in closing this, Betty, of course, and I, we were at odds. But then the FBI came to my door and told me that we're going to announce somebody is trying to assassinate you, Farrakhan. And we're going to make the announcement at 11 o'clock or something. When the announcement came out, they said it was Kubila Shabazz, who had paid some little white boy a little bit of money, and he was to assassinate Louis Farrakhan. Now these are things you can get, it's public record.
Yeah.
I didn't let the FBI put that mess over on me.
Come on.
And on us. We had a press conference.
Come on.
And I took the side of Kubila and Betty that they were set up to create a problem between the nationalist community and the Nation of Islam. So Betty and I
subscribe to the channel,
stood
y'all.
together,
Y'all
and at
chilling
the
with Show
Apollo
Love,
Theater,
man. We bring y'all
raised
all
money
different type of content, man.
to help
For real.
Kubila out of that situation, and finally the government dropped the case. And now they're not going to tell you
hit that like button
what
for me,
Farrakhan
y'all.
did.
Turn me up on them likes,
To
y'all.
start
61
to
people
bridge
in here.
that gap.
I don't know how many likes
That
I got
night
because
at
my
the
other
Apollo
phone did.
Theater,
Turn me up, though.
I used the term Brother Malcolm. And Betty said, I hope that you will continue to see him as Brother Malcolm. Something like that. And when you hear me talk, mention his name, I say Brother Malcolm. Time heals wounds. There's some wounds that time won't heal, but I know that time will heal this wound, because now there's Kubila, there's Alyasha, they're the twins. That's a beautiful family. And you think about Malik Shabazz or Malcolm Shabazz, the only male member that represents Malcolm X, killed in Mexico. The FBI arrested that brother because he was going to Iran to a conference. The government has never stopped trying to harm both the nation and the Shabazz family. So today, I don't say that we're friends, but I do say that we're better than we were 20 years ago. And I want to say to all of you who think that Farrakhan did something to murder Malcolm or was a part of it, don't you know that as much as this enemy hates me, that if they had any evidence that I was a part of a conspiracy to murder Brother Malcolm, I wouldn't be here with this brother now. I'd be in some prison cell, and they wouldn't have to be afraid of the truth coming out of my mouth, because they would have silenced me behind prison bars. So, you know, I have nothing to do with that. And I would hope that you would be intelligent enough to know that the enemy is still working. Today, Louis Farrakhan is the voice that Malcolm was. Mm-hmm. Do you think they don't want me silenced? Well, soon it'll be my turn, because they're trying to find some way to arrest me, or have some silly person think that they should kill me. And that's out there too.
Mm-hmm. You received death threats?
Well, if I did, I don't know it.
News. Subscribe to the channel, y'all. Hit the like button. Share this out. Turn us up on them likes. Drop a comment. Let me know you up in here. Hit that like button for me one time, man. Turn us up on them likes. We got a part 2 coming too.
They're saying that the government dropped the case before the Apollo. Yes, they did. That's what made the Apollo so strong. But I mentioned that it was after the Apollo. No, I didn't say that they stopped it after the Apollo. They stopped it, period. That's all. It's a matter of fact. Well, why did the government back out? If they thought they had something, why didn't they continue? See, because we didn't play into the plot.
Come on.
And that's why they lost. So I'm saying this to you, brother. It's a question.
Boy, I hope y'all paying attention on here, man. For real, I hope y'all paying attention, man. For real, because y'all can use some of this in life.
I don't mind answering, you know. But no matter what mistake I believe Malcolm made, he died that I might live. Because he made a mistake that I learned from.
All right, speak on it.
When I split with Wallace D. Muhammad, you never heard me say one negative word about that man. Because they were the institution. I was just an individual. But Allah has made me an institution now. So, in the end, I'll be the winner. I don't care what the government says. I'm the winner now, and I'll be the winner in the end. And you know what? I call him Brother Malcolm, because even though he's dead, he's bringing more people to Islam in death than some of these living ones cannot do. And the thing that has made Malcolm, it's not an accident. Did you ever read the 11 daily newspapers after Brother Malcolm was assassinated?
No, I didn't read them.
Did you know that every paper in New York rejoiced at the murder of Brother Malcolm? Go back and look. They tried to make a movie on Brother Malcolm, and members of the Jewish community would not finance it or let it come out. Did you know that Brother Malcolm was by the ADL the #1 anti-Semite?
Appreciate the sayings coming through, fucking with me.
Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
Did you know that that's what I am now to them? Do they love me? I'm asking you a question. Why don't they love me? Because I exposed them. Malcolm exposed them as the architects of all the civil rights organizations. They were behind them, giving them money. And you know what the theme was? Non-economic liberalism. That none of these organizations, CORE, SNCC, NAACP, could involve themselves in economic development, because economic development would take money out of the hands of the Jewish people that funded civil rights. And you got to look deep at what's going on today. Don't be no surface people.
Come on, man.
But we are the winners.
It's 4 in the morning.
Hold on real quick. Let me get this.
Those things to kind of strengthen you and outlook at a speech you made or something you said, and it's always something I could take away from it that'll keep me smiling and make me feel strong the next day. So I always wanted to thank you for that.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I always wanted to know, you know, I always see the minister on the podium, but who is he when he's not on that podium, when he's not on that stage, and he's not leading the people? And in my research, I found out we have a lot in common. And the fact that you know, you started off as a classical instructed violinist, right?
Yes, sir.
How old were you when you first picked up the violin?
I didn't pick it up. My mom picked it up and put it in my hand.
Subscribe to the channel, y'all. Hit the like
and
button.
Very talented
share it
seamstress.
out. Drop a comment.
And she put that violin in my hand, put a clock on the table, and had me practice for 15 minutes, and then a half hour, then an hour. And she forced me to do this. I didn't like playing the violin because they said it was a kind of sissy instrument, and who wants to look like a sissy? So I would put a tam on my head like Dizzy Gillespie and throw my violin up under my arm like it was a horn. And walk through the black community on my way to my lessons. But after a while, I learned to love it. And when I fell in love with the instrument, Mom didn't have to ask me to practice anymore. I drove her crazy by playing and practicing 4, 5, 6. Even when I married my dear wife, I would go in a room and tell her, sweetheart, I won't be out for about 8 or 9 hours.
Wow.
And it's that discipline that I carried into Islam. When I became a Muslim, I just switched the discipline from the study of my instrument to the study of the Word of God. And that's why today, I mean, I don't have to think on what to say or try to make notes and whatnot, because so much of it is in me from the discipline of study. So I'm grateful for the music, and I'm back at music now.
Back at music now, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, I have to laugh because I thought I was through with it forever. Because he asked me one day, I wrote a play called Organa, a Negro spelled backwards, because that's what we were, a people gone backwards. So in this play, I was a ballad singer, and I sang a song that I co-wrote with a brother called Look at My Chains. And one day soon you'll hear it again. And I also wrote a song after Brother Malcolm's column in the Amsterdam News, Angry Black Man. He wrote an article called A White Man's Heaven is a Black Man's Hell. And that's the way
Already,
it
Sir
was
Black.
60 years
What's
ago.
the deal? What's the
And
deal? Merry
unfortunately,
Christmas to
a
everybody,
white
man.
man's heaven is still a black man's hell. And I wrote that song and went into RCA Victor Studios in 1959 and put a soldier in the control room because the words were so hot. I didn't want the man to start messing with the dials. And that song became an underground hit in the 60s. So one day, I don't know what caused me to bring my violin out to Chicago. And after dinner, Elijah Muhammad said, play me something. So I came to the table where he was sitting and I played. And when I finished, he said, boy, you really can play that thing. And so a week later, he summoned me to come back with my violin. And he asked me to play again. And after I played, I saw this frown on his face.
Hey, lay low. Merry Christmas. Salute to everybody in the chat. Merry Christmas to everybody.
You played the last time you were here? I said, yes, sir. He said, well, don't you know something new? So that meant to me, after I figured it out, get on back to your instrument. So I went back at it and played with the symphony orchestra in Chicago and Los Angeles and recorded the Mendelssohn Violin Concerto, the Beethoven Violin Concerto, and I made some songs back in the late 50s, early 60s.
They were on Billboard charts, right?
I don't know that they made Billboard, but some of my calypso songs, since my mom and my father were from the Caribbean, those songs were on the Calypso Hit Parade in New York for about 5 years. And I was happy to give all of that up, even though it was the only thing I knew, and it's the thing that I really loved. But since I was a little boy, I've been in love with black people. My mother trained me. Her husband, my father, was a follower of Mr. Garvey. My mother didn't join, she was on the fringe. But Mr. Garvey was big in his representation of the struggle of our people. And so when I heard a word that I felt could stimulate consciousness in our people and cause our people to reject the position of a free slave and arise to really become an independent nation, I was willing to give up my music to pursue that. So one day I was playing this organa. We played it at Boston Symphony Hall. We did it at Carnegie Hall. We did it at the Civic Center in Philadelphia. And we were at the Tivoli Theater in Chicago. But the last time I did it was at the Dunbar High School in Chicago. And little did I know, there were 2 shows that day, and Mr. Muhammad came out to the last show. I didn't know he was there. So I was singing this song, Look at My Chains, and I played my violin and then put the white man on trial and kind of give him a good whipping. And the judge sentenced him to death. And I was very happy that
turn us up on them lights. Turn us up on them lights.
More like that.
Money, I see you up in there talking your shit, G.
But anyway,
I see you.
He sent for me. And when I went to his home, he told me that he did not want me to play music anymore. He said, I want you to concentrate on the spiritual. He said, even though you are very good in what you do musically, your greatest talent
What's
is
the
in
deal,
the
Hines?
spiritual.
Salute, Hines. Merry
you give
Christmas,
this
man,
up
to your family, man, them
and
kids,
concentrate on the spiritual?
Salute, my God.
And I said, yes, sir. So going back now to 74, don't you know something new? So he put me back in my music. We have an album now that brother Kenny Gamble, Gamble and Huff,
Philadelphia.
yes,
Yeah.
he's the co-producer because he heard my arrangement of the Beethoven Violin Concerto. And from 2002, I began working on this album. And we just finished it 13 years
13 years later.
later. Stevie Wonder is on the album, Shaka Khan, Denise Williams, Kirk Whalum, Damon Marley.
Shout out to Jessica
Dogg,
for just subscribing to the page.
Rick Ross.
Appreciate you, Jessica, for hitting that subscribe
man,
button.
we just having
Hit
a time.
all
You got Rick Ross
notifications
on
so
your
you
album?
can
Oh,
get
yeah,
all the
like a
lives,
rap
all
album
the
or something?
uploads, and all
Well,
the
you know
shorts
what?
that I
It's not a rap album, but Snoop
upload on here. Appreciate
played a
y'all.
major
Subscribe
part
to the channel.
because
Hit the
we
like
talked
button.
to Snoop and
Share it out.
we told Snoop
Drop a comment.
in our little
We
talk
here.
that young people are being misused all over the world
Already,
by
Jessica,
powerful
appreciate you.
governments that will take the lives of young people who love their nation or love their country and make them think that they're doing good, but sending them to war on the basis of a lie, all because they want the resources of a nation that they could not get to unless they made the leader of that nation a demon and demonized them, then made the American soldier hate that person and then send them to war. And so it was with,
Is that how you felt about Libya when we went into Libya?
yes, I was very displeased with Hillary Clinton and President President Barack, because in Africa,
Subscribe to the channel. Hit the
Muammar
like
Gaddafi
button.
was the
Share it
most
out. Appreciate y'all coming through on this
force
Christmas
on
day.
the African
You know what I'm
continent.
saying?
Here's a man that built his country with some of the, great industries that he put there, had billions of dollars spent in the desert to go down and find water under
Okay,
the
the
desert
signs.
and brought
Rid of the
that
signs.
water
I hear
up.
you, G.
And the whole coastline of Libya became green because of water and then agriculture. And he had, I don't know how many tons of gold that he had. He was debt free, owed nobody nothing. And for Barack or Hillary or America or England or France to say that he had to go, and for Barack to tell him he should step down when the man built a country, and this country is down near $60 trillion in debt, and you want to tell a man that's doing something that he should step down for what? And then to have him deposed and killed? No, I didn't like that at all. Barack is my brother, I love him, but when you vote for a man for president, you think he's the power. But he's not the power.
185 people in here. Y'all subscribe to the channel for me, please. Support the channel by hitting the subscribe button, the like button, or sharing it out. Drop a comment in the chat. Let us know you up in here with us.
On the time and what must be done.
Appreciate you, Mel, for subscribing to the channel. Appreciate you, Mel, for subscribing to the channel.
I'm back into music, but music has not softened me. I don't want nobody to think that the minister's going to play some music and forget about the suffering of my people.
Come on now.
But have you heard of DJ Rogers?
Come on now.
DJ Rogers, where's he from?
I don't know exactly where he's from, but he's in California. And he was very, very popular as a musician, and he's a preacher now. And I was playing my violin at the farm with my teacher at that time, Mr. Charles Veal.
Nah, for real, the
and he
signs.
brought DJ Rogers to the farm. And when I started playing the violin,
this the type of
I
stuff
was
that I'm
rehearsing
educated about.
for
So
a
this the type
program
of
that
stuff
would be
that you know what I'm
played
saying
in
I can
Detroit.
talk about, because I
DJ
actually hang
stopped
and hung
me and said,
around these
"Minister,
people in real life."
I got
So you
to
know
tell
what I'm
you
saying? I know a
something.
lot of shit too.
Even if you
It's
throw
just
me
we don't
out
have
of
conversations
your
and
house,"
stuff about none of this stuff.
I said, "Brother, I wouldn't throw you out of my house for telling me whatever's on your mind." So he looked at me and he said, "Brother, God has given you a weapon and you are not using it." And then he reminded me of David. He said, David was a musician, David was a warrior, David was a prophet, David was a king.
Come on.
And I said, oh, wow. Because the first time I was in the presence, the physical presence of Elijah Muhammad, I had dinner at...
Everyone knows.
I appreciate y'all coming through, man. Hit that like button, share this out, and don't forget to tap that subscribe button. Make sure you tap all notifications too, so you can get it when I go live or post or do any uploads.
He came around to all the guests. It's the first and only time I saw him do it, and he shook their hands. And when he got to me, he shook my hand and pulled me close and said, brother, you remind me of David. And then he went on. I was a very new Muslim. I didn't know that he knew that one day I would sit in his seat like he was a king after Saul. And he then, before he left, sat me in his seat in front of the congregation. And so I've had a great life so far.
Yeah.
But I don't want you to think that I came down from heaven.
Yeah.
I rose up from hell just like all of us.
Come
I want
on.
to ask you about that because, you know, you have a way of being very relatable to some of the most edgiest artists we have coming out of hip hop, whether it's a Chief.
Hey, Money, I don't know why you say that when they both could have been in the when they both was in positions. You know what I'm telling you? I don't know why you say that. But you know, you probably know something I don't know. Or you know, you probably heard something I ain't know. You know what I'm telling you? However it is, shit. I don't feel like how you feel though. Cause shit, they both could have been in positions. Just cause one nigga in a position don't mean you can't be in a position.
Guys who've been in your presence and, you know, out of your presence, these guys are at each other's neck. But in your presence, you see these guys come together and squash beefs and exist in love, you know. And normally when that happens, it's because it's something you sense or feel about the person that's the mediator. In your life, growing up as a teenager, did you face a lot of tribulations and trials that or temptations, you know, like these guys have? What were some of those things you had to face to keep you on the right path? Like, did you ever commit a crime?
Oh, no.
You never committed a
He said,
crime?
"Oh, no."
Wait, I'm not going to lie. I did do something.
What was
He said, "I
that?
did
Oh,
do
it's so
something."
small.
He say
I
something.
was 10 years old,
Mm-hmm.
and a dear friend of mine had a beautiful pearl-handled knife. And when he showed me the knife, I liked the knife so much that I took the knife and put it in my pocket. And the next day, he started asking, they called me Gene at that time, Gene, did you see my knife? I said, no, I didn't see no knife. And I went back to my house. I'm 10 years old. But stealing and lying beat me so bad till I never let that act that I did escape my consciousness. And just, I think it was maybe a month ago, his brother, the brother of the brother who I stole his knife, we found each other in Washington, D.C. Oh, no, Atlanta. In Atlanta. And I confessed to him
188 people up in here, man. Tap that like button for me, man. Get us to 100 likes, man. Run us up on them likes.
I was telling the Muslims about it because there's something about lying and stealing that will lead you to greater crimes. And my mother would beat the hell out of me over the lie. She would beat me if I stole, and she knew about it, but beat me worse for lying. So I've had that kind of conscience since I was 10 years old. So I never got into no real crime, but to me, that was a crime against my conscience. So when I said to the brother, I said, yeah, man, that's been on my mind. And when I saw that you had called and wanted to see me, the first thing that popped up in my mind was that knife that I stole from his brother. I said, yeah, I want to see him. So after I told him that I had stolen his brother's knife, he said, well, don't feel bad, Gene, because I got a confession to make. You used to have a lot of milk in front of your door. You know, in those days, they would put the milk in a carriage and put it in front of the door. He said, I was so hungry, I stole your milk. So that's as far as I went.
That's as far as you go? Okay.
But, you know, I did smoke some reefer.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Was it purple? Was it cookies?
See, but when I did it, reefer was 50 cents for one reefer. And I was in show business then, and naturally I wanted to try what other musicians were trying, so I smoked reefer, smoked hash, and then did some pills, you know. But you know what?
You did pills?
Yeah.
Oh.
I knew from that wasn't for me, because I never wanted to lose control of who I am, where I am. So I decided none of that would be in my life. Now, when I went to hear Elijah Muhammad, I had a reefer in my hat band. And they searched, you know, but they didn't search my hat band. So I got away with a reefer in the mosque. But when I got converted, I had to make up my mind. But I smoked that one that night.
Okay. Well, just for the record, I don't have no reefer in my hat right now, so I just want to make that clear to you, sir.
Shit.
All right. Well, that's good to know, because you know, I think for a lot of us, I've always seen you on TV or on the screen.
Reefer is crazy work. 212 people in here, man. Y'all tap that like button,
what brought
man.
a man to this path?
Drop a comment in the chat.
All of us are with flaws.
Share this out.
Perfect.
Subscribe to the channel.
You know,
we got
and
212
so I think that's part
in
of
here.
what makes you so relatable to this hip hop community. And when you're talking about someone like Snoop, who's a good friend of mine, and we pretty much know his history. And I just think it's amazing how you bring the best out of this culture. People who come from this culture, you know, and this culture is what has influenced us the most, this generation in the past 30 or 40 years. What was that influenced you the most? Was it the word?
Yes, it was the word, but it's also when you know yourself and you know that you are not perfect, it would be the height of hypocrisy for me as a spiritual teacher to look down on my brother or sister because of some fault that they had. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us that we are the direct descendants of the Creator, and we are a part of the Creator's.
It was one day when we were doing.
But wicked by circumstance. So when you grow up under a devil and he's your foster father, then you can't claim to be holy. None of us have grown up under righteousness, though the Bible says we are born in sin and shaped in iniquity. We've come up under the most murderous people on our planet. We are the victims of kidnapping from Africa, rape, robbery, murder. Then to think that they took away from us our name, our language, our culture, our history, our religion, our God, and turned us inside out. So no matter how black you are, you're a white man on the inside. What do I mean by that?
Oh, shit.
Look at your actions. If you can rob each other and don't feel nothing, and you can kill one another and don't feel nothing, then your humanity has been taken from us by a wicked deceiver. It's not your sin, it's the sin of your enemy imposed on you. So the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that his teacher, Master Farad Muhammad, said that we are other than ourselves. I mean, he was so sweet the way he said it. You are other than yourself. But what is yourself that you are other than? He said yourself is a righteous person by nature. But now we are not that. So, born in sin, what does that mean? Sex is not sin. It's divinely ordained. Otherwise, procreation would not have produced human beings for billions and trillions of years on our planet. It's the misuse of sex that is sin. So sin, according to Scripture, is transgression of the law.
Appreciate you, buddy. We
And
got 219 in here, man. Y'all get me up to 100 likes. Subscribe to the channel if you ain't subscribed to the channel.
Teacher,
share this
who
out.
shaped us.
Hit that like
so
button.
Got 10
Get us up to 100 likes,
Thou shalt
man.
not do everything that God said thou shalt not do. The enemy says okay. But then when you do it, you in prison. He's the biggest thief. You out here stealing little stuff. He steals countries. You can't compete with them. You kill a few. He's culling the earth of 2 to 3 billion people as a policy of the United States government. What can our little murder in the hood do to compete with a man who's killing people all over the earth? So much so that Zbigniew Brzezinski, the former I think he was the national security advisor under, was it Clinton? Carter. He said there was a time when it was easier to control 1 million people than to kill 1 million people. But with the awakening of people all over the world because of a man called Steve Jobs and a man like Gates, who gave us this tremendous thing called the iPhone and the iPad. You are in touch instantaneously with people all over the world. You can tap into libraries all over the world. There's nothing of knowledge that's not at our fingertips because of what that man did. So the media conglomerates are losing power over the masses that they've always controlled. Now, who cares? Because the young people are not looking at no TV. They hardly look at listen to radio. Everybody's head is bent at a 45-degree angle.
Yeah, on the phone.
On the phone.
Yeah.
Well, now Zbigniew Brzezinski said it's easier to kill 1 million people than it is to control 1 million people. And I don't know whether you've heard this before, but I'm going to call names because, you know, if you know what you know, then say what you know.
Come on,
and be willing to pay the price. Because there is a price
appreciate y'all coming in, man.
Truth
Appreciate y'all hitting that like button. If you ain't subscribed to the channel yet, subscribe to the channel.
Been put to sleep by this elite that control. Imagine every time you get on the phone, they're listening. Imagine every time you send an email, they got it. So if you mad with somebody, well, I hate that so-and-so, he did such and such. Oh, really? They got it. And if they want to create mischief between you and your party, they'll get in between you. And before you know it,
hit the like button. Hit the like button.
Well, imagine that a man has that kind of reach that he can listen into your phone, gather all information about you.
Hit that like button for me, y'all. Subscribe to the channel if you ain't subscribed to the channel. Share this out. Support the channel by hitting that like button.
When he sifts you what your weaknesses are and what your strengths are. This man, Elijah Muhammad, called him a universal snooper. So he's always trying to find something negative about you. And he'll wait until the right moment and he'll throw it on TV or tell you what you did that you didn't want nobody to know. But his day is here now.
Come on now.
We got him.
Yeah.
We know his history.
Come on.
From the time he was a thought.
Come on now.
We know what he was made of, how he was made, and the nature of him, and we know the way he thinks, and we know who made him like that.
Come on.
So we're in a position now to lock him up, because when a liar can't lie no more to deceive you, he's finished.
Come on
when
now.
a trickster can't trick you no more because you know the way he plays his game.
Come on.
Then his game is over.
Come on now.
So the enemy's game is up.
Yeah.
White supremacy is finished.
Come on.
The black man is rising. Humanity is rising.
Come on.
His day to rule us with tricks and lies is over if we wake up and realize that we've been tricked. As Malcolm said, we've been hoodwinked. We've been bamboozled. It's time to wake up.
It's time to wake up. You know, when I listen to you speak and you talk about white supremacy being on its way out, and I look at the Nation of Islam and how it's expanded its reach. You know, it's not just about the black man's plight in America anymore, correct? Like,
no.
Like anybody can join the nation.
It's about our plight all over the world.
Okay.
But in truth, my brother, the Nation of Islam was started just for black people.
Yeah.
And we started like Jesus. When Jesus started teaching, he told his followers, "Go ye not in the way of the Gentiles or in the way of the Samaritans. Go ye to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Ain't nobody on this earth more lost than the black man and woman of America and the Western Hemisphere and our people in Africa who have lived under colonialism while we have lived under slavery and colonialism in the Caribbean and a neo-colonialism, which is to rob you of the power of your mind to keep you like a top spinning. So if we were really awake, we would be unified.
Come on.
You and I are brothers, cut from the same cloth.
Come on.
We're not only brothers because of color, we're brothers because our origin is God Himself. So now the enemy has put us like dry bones in the valley. We're all separated, disconnected. But today is our day to rise. It's our day to come together in unity and power to stop the tyranny of our oppression. But I want to finish that question, because now Jesus said, go ye into all the world and preach this gospel to every nation, kindred, and tongue. Well, that's what we're doing now. And October 10, 15, which is the 20th anniversary of the Million Man March, our talk that day will be in French and Spanish and Arabic and Chinese, because we're reaching for the whole world, because everywhere you look in the world, people are rising against injustice. I hope I get a chance in this broadcast to talk about Henry Kissinger and his memo to government that became a policy.
I hear you
Do I
saying.
have time?
You have time.
I
Can we
hear
come? Can we come back to it?
Yes,
We're gonna
Okay.
get one of them
yeah, you
Malcolm
have
X
all the time
speeches.
that you
We're gonna
allot
get one
to
of the
me,
Malcolm
so
X speeches in a little
as
bit.
much
We'll probably
time as
get
you
his
willing to
last
give me.
speech before he got killed.
I want to bring it back domestically, because just listen to you speaking about how divided we are, and messaging that you're giving to artists like Snoop and Jay Electronica, and I'm sure Kanye and Jay-Z and, Lil Herb and Louis and Ice Cube and Suge and, all the different people you've spoken to. It's hard, I'm on a radio platform every day, I'm on television, and it's hard trying to sneak truth in, and get folks to reflect on our reality. It's a challenge. You have artists like Kendrick Lamar who would make a statement in a song like The Blacker the Berry, where he says, why would I weep when Trayvon Martin is laying in the street when gangbanging has me killing people who are blacker than me? Hypocrite. And that's how his song ends. And then he would receive a lot of backlash, and people would say that's respectability politics. What is your argument to that? I mean, that's one of the things
I
I've said.
can't ever argue with truth.
Mm-hmm.
Then you make yourself a fool.
Come on.
You might not like what he said,
Come on
but
now.
the reality is we march every time a white man kills a black person. They've been doing that ever since we came to these shores. But what hurts is when we can smoke each other over nothing and then go back and feel like we did something good.
Y'all subscribe to the
become
channel. Appreciate y'all in the
cold
chats. I
and
see y'all out there in the
heartless
chats, man.
and
Subscribe to the
naked of
channel.
moral
Hit the like button.
value.
Share this out.
When you can put your girls out, because now you can't sling the dope like you used to sling it. So now you take these young girls and make them prostitutes. I was in the hood, man, and as I go and talk to our brothers who are in certain conditions, certain sisters would come to me and beg me to get them out of the condition that they're in, because our brothers have them prostituting themselves. And then one young girl,
share this out, man. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the like button.
when I was out in the hood, what some of the sisters said, don't you want to go over and get his autograph or shake his hand? She said, no, I just want to be his bee.
About you?
Yeah.
Okay.
She wanted to be a female dog for me. As though that's something glorious. See, this is ignorance on steroids.
Come on.
So our people need to be fixed. The problem is we can't go to Washington to charge the government and then turn a blind eye to what we're doing to one another. And that means, as I've been saying, the war that we're fighting has to be on two fronts. We can't go to Washington and say, you all ain't treating us right, which they're not, and then deny that we're not treating each other right. So Rudolph Giuliani, you know, I didn't like certain words that he said, so, you know, I called him a privilege, you know.
He said that the president didn't love America.
Yeah,
And
see?
you came to the president's defense.
Yes, because that's the president's problem.
Alicia, appreciate you coming
He
over
loves
here,
America so much
Appreciate you
that he
tapping
will
in.
not act in a way to correct the wrong that's sending America to hell. What kind of man should I be if I see my country corrupt and rotten? Even when he tried to correct the wickedness of George W. Bush when he first became president, they beat him up so bad that he was over there apologizing for us. He was trying to tell the world America has made mistakes. And who will deny that you've been a liar and a thief? Well, he won't say it like I say it. He'll be diplomatic. But I'm too damn old to want to be diplomatic.
I really
Liars
appreciate
and
you
thieves
enjoying the
are what they
content.
are. That's
Appreciate
what
you
they've
enjoying
done
the content.
all over the world.
We're going to
knows
keep it going. Every day
And for
we're going
him
to
to
have
be
different
a modern
content. So make
pharaoh.
sure you stop by.
See, when you run for the presidency
Hit
of
that
the United
notification.
States, you're running for the position
Subscribe. Hit
of
all
the
notifications.
CEO
We
of the
gonna keep it
United
going.
States of America, which is the modern Egypt, the modern Rome.
What's up, Loco?
So he's
What's the
modern
deal, G?
pharaoh.
Merry
So
Christmas,
even
bro.
if he wants to do good, he can't. Look at all the drones he's sending all over the world. And violence can't accomplish anything the minute we rise up in the hood because of the evil that is perpetrated against us. All they want to know is this going to be peaceful? They got
Already, G.
asking us, is it going to be peaceful when everything they've gotten all over the world is through violence, through bloodshed, through war? No, these are hypocrites, and I like to call them out.
Let
Come
me ask
on,
you
man.
this. I know in the
He on the
case of
same shit I'm on. I like to call
Ferguson.
these bullshit
What happened to
motherfuckers
Ferguson?
out, man.
you called out to the president and Attorney General Eric Holder and said you have to
Y'all
stop
double
these
tap the
wicked
screen, hit
folks
the
from
like
killing
button,
our
man. We've
black
been
and brown
keeping, man,
youth,
over
'cause this won't
150
hold
people
no more.
in here, man. For real. We've been doing our
what would
thing, man. Turn us
How
up on
would
them
you
likes.
propose
Double
that
tap
they
the
do
screen.
it? Is it a policy, or what type of infrastructure could they create
I hear you the saying.
how can
I
they
hear you.
reverse that wickedness? If you were president, how would you do it? Wouldn't that be great?
I wouldn't want to be president of this.
Come on.
This is why God has come to take this out. This is an evil world that we're living in. This is not the world that Jesus was calling us toward. He said, my kingdom is not of this world.
Come on.
And in the book of James, it said the love of this world is enmity or hatred with God.
Come on.
Then Jesus said, you can't love or serve two masters.
Come on.
You got to love one and hate the other. Hate is not bad if you hate what God hates. But the sad thing is, if you hate
say
what
this
God
changed
loves.
nothing.
And
Hey, all you
Jesus
got to
was
do is
hated
listen. It
without
probably
a
changed
cause.
something in your
That's
head.
why it's difficult for people to walk with Farrakhan. They say, yeah, I like him a lot, but bring him around the back door at midnight because I might lose my job if I associate with Farrakhan. I don't have AIDS. I'm not a diseased man, but what I do have is knowledge, truth, that will make you stand up like a man and like a woman. And as long as you lay down.
Appreciate you, man.
Children, brother?
What that is, Barbara Ann. Appreciate you, Barbara
May
Ann.
God bless you and bless her.
Thank you.
What kind of world is she growing
Man, that's
up
how
in?
you feel, G. You probably feel
What
you're
kind
a
of
crook.
man
That's how you feel.
would you want to marry your daughter
The son's child. Appreciate
when
you.
you come out
Appreciate
of
you.
the streets?
Y'all
You don't
subscribe
have
to the
no
channel.
desire
Hit that like button
to
and share
do
it out.
nothing
Make sure
but
when y'all
hustle
subscribe,
women
y'all hit
who
all
are making
notifications so y'all can catch the live
What
when I go
kind
up.
of man will our young girls have when they are in college and our brothers are in the street? See, this is social engineering now that's being done by those in high places. And that's why Paul said, we war not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers and the rulers of the darkness of this world and spiritual wickedness in high places. This is what is going on now. Little white people are not doing the things to us that cause us to be in the condition. This comes from way up. Can I give you an example?
Please
Come
do.
on now.
When I was a little boy,
Yeah, subscribe to the channel. Hit the like button. Share it out. Drop a comment in the chat. Let us know you up in here. We ain't tripping on how you feel about whatever you feel about. You don't tell it. You have the right to feel
in
like that.
Massachusetts, there were factories in the inner cities all over America
Moving forward, appreciate you.
where unskilled
Appreciate you.
labor could have a job in a factory. I don't care what kind of money they made, they brought that home and they could take care of their wives and their children. And every morning I would see a black man leaving his home with his lunch pail, going to work. 40 years ago, I was overseas, and when I came back, I read in the paper that the social scientists and others were saying there's no need to invest in the inner cities because the inner cities are about to explode. So instead of people bringing money into the inner cities, the money was taken out, the factories closed, and unskilled labor had no job. So if we were not entrepreneurial to set up something that we could do to earn $1 to feed our family, now the social engineering starts taking place. You break down the family because after that, the mothers that were on welfare, fathers, she had to lie and say there was no man living in the house so she could collect her check while the man had no job. And so she was on welfare, or she went to school and got a job. Black women can get jobs today where a black man can't get a job. You could be very talented, very brilliant, just come out of Harvard or Howard, and you can't get a job, but your woman got the job.
Come on.
When your woman got more money than you, her voice is not female a lot of times. Because now you can't pay the bills because you got no money. So when you don't have any money that a man should have to feed his family and take care of his children,
I know y'all ain't hating on this man speaking the truth.
And you living there.
I know y'all ain't hating on this man speaking the truth.
So what are you good for? They don't need you for sex. They buy machines for that.
Come on now.
You turn out on the down low. Because the woman is so strong, she make you look like a punk before you become one. Excuse me, but that's real. That's real. Social.
She say the woman is. They did say the woman is so strong she make you look like a punk before you even become one. And he said, "Now that's real."
Engineering.
Come on,
then,
man.
Here comes Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan wants to fight the communists in Central America. He comes to Congress. Congress won't give him the money. He goes to King Fahd of Arabia. He gives him 10 million. That's not enough. So enter the CIA and the drug trade. Drugs coming from Central and South America into California, where crack cocaine now becomes the craze. In the meantime, back in Washington, while we were having the Million Man March 20 years ago, they were in Congress setting the limits on powdered cocaine as opposed to crack cocaine. So now they snatch our brothers and sisters up. We in jail with a felony. Check how these enemies have worked us. We go into prison, then we got a job in prison. Some of us working for IBM, some of us working for Motorola, some of us working for these high-tech places, learning how to do things in prison, but when you get out, you're a felon now. You can't even use what you learned in prison, so you end right back up in prison, and the 13th Amendment is in full force. Once you are a criminal, you become a slave again. That's what this thing is all about. So now the drugs are in the community. Rick Ross, bless his heart, he said, I didn't know that I was working for the government, that the government was the one supplying me with the drugs. He said, I was making $1 million a day. Well, wouldn't that make you feel pretty good if you were making $1 million a day? Frank Lucas, he was on the heroin tip.
Yeah.
And he was bringing in what? Pure heroin. How many people were dying? The moment you and I start becoming conscious, in the 60s, Frank Lucas was bringing in heroin. In the 80s, Rick Ross bringing in crack cocaine. Mm-hmm. And now the gang warfare, the Crips, the Bloods. Then it spreads from the West Coast to the East Coast. And who's filling the jails? It's you and me.
It's Sway in the morning, only on Shea 45.
Distinguished guests, brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, friends and enemies. I want to point out first that I'm very happy to be here this evening, and I'm thankful for the invitation to come here to Detroit this evening. I was in a house last night that was bound, my own, but it didn't destroy all my clothes at all, but you know what happens when fire dashes through. They get smoky. The only thing I could get my hands on before leaving was what I have on now. And it isn't something that made me lose confidence in what I'm doing, because my wife understands, and I have children from this size on down, and even in their young age, they understand. I think they would rather have a father or brother or whatever the situation may be, who will take a stand in the face of any kind of reaction from narrow-minded people, rather than to compromise and later on have to grow up in shame and in disgrace. So I just ask you to excuse my appearance. I don't normally come out in front of people without a shirt and a tie. I guess that's somewhat a holdover from the Black Muslim movement, which I was in, and that's one of the good aspects of that movement. It teaches you to be very careful and conscious of how you look, which is a positive contribution on their part. But that positive contribution on their part is greatly offset by too many other liabilities. Before I get involved in anything nowadays, I have to straighten out my own position, and which is clear. I am not a racist in any form whatsoever. I don't believe in any form of racism. I don't believe in any form of discrimination or segregation. I believe in Islam. I'm a Muslim, and there's nothing wrong with being a Muslim. Nothing wrong with the religion of Islam. That just teaches us to believe in Allah as the God, and those of you who are Christians probably believe in the same God. Because I think you believe in the God who created the universe, and that's the one we believe in, the one who created the universe. The only difference being, you call him God, and we call him Allah. Jews call him Jehovah. If you could understand Hebrew, you'd probably call him Jehovah too. If you could understand Arabic, you'd probably call him Allah. But since the white man, your friend, took your language away from you during slavery, the only language you know is his language, your friend's language. So you call for the same God he calls for. When he's putting a rope around your neck, you call for God, he calls for God. And you wonder why the one you call on never answers you. When I was in the Black Muslim movement, they didn't have the real religion of Islam in that movement. It was something else. And but the real religion of Islam doesn't.
Hey, I appreciate y'all coming through though. My phone about to go dead, so y'all know later on, I see y'all want to hear Brother Malcolm speak. So we're gonna make sure I find some good audio and some videos, so we can listen to what he got to say. But yeah, I appreciate y'all coming through, man. Everybody that came through, everybody that tapped the like button, everybody that subscribed to the channel, yeah, everybody that shared it out, man, thank you for coming through. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you go hit all the notifications. Go subscribe and hit all notifications so you can get me. So when I come up, man, you'll get it to your phone. Other than that, man, y'all have a Merry Christmas. Enjoy y'all family. And y'all be blessed. We up out of here.